Welcome to the Best of the Godreports podcast. I'm your host, Sam.
And I'm Rebecca. Today, we have the special privilege of listening to one of the wildest stories we have ever heard.
Caleb is a missionary, instrument maker, and founder of Evergreen Missions with his wife, Gladys. They've been missionaries in Israel, the Philippines, and with indigenous people in tribal areas in Southeast Asia and the Pacific Islands.
In 2013, Caleb woke up with an incredible dream. In the dream, I was standing on top of this mountain. I was looking out across the mountain, and I saw a tribe of people. He had never seen this tribe before, so he was very curious.
Caleb began a search to find out what this dream meant. He says, I feel like when God speaks to you, it's an invitation to partner and walk with God.
Enjoy following Caleb's journey and listening to this interview by journalist Mark Ellis from 2021.
Yeah, well, back in 2013, I had a dream, and at this time I was already doing missions work in a lot of the in some of the unreached areas in the 1040 window. So anyway, I had a dream. In the dream, I saw a tribe of people, and I was up in the mountainous area, kind of on top of a mountain, and this tribe was looking at me, and they were kind of calling out for me, and I was really drawn to them, and so I asked them what their name was, like what tribe they are, and they said, we are the Tinananon tribe. And I had never heard that name before. I'd never, I'd never seen this people group before. So in my dream, I was thinking, where are these people from? And I've never heard of Tinananon before. I've never heard of that tribe. Well, after that, I saw a chief, the chief of the tribe, and he was carrying this musical instrument. And he came up in front of all the people, and he put this musical instrument on a table, and he started to play it with two sticks. And at that time, I sort of pushed pause in my dream, and I zoomed in, and I looked at the instrument. And at that time, I was also doing a lot of instrument making. And so I was really interested in this instrument in my dream. Now, I've never seen this instrument before. It was very different from any other instrument that I've seen. And it's shaped like a circle on the top, and at the bottom of the instrument is a bowl, and it had strings on the top of it, and they were stretching from the outside rim of the instrument to the middle. And I really got a lot of details about this instrument. It was as if I got a download of all of the dimensions of the instrument and the materials and how it was made, how it sounded, what key and what key it was tuned in, and what kind of scales it played.
You got all that from the dream?
Yeah, I got that in the dream. And then after that, I zoomed back out, and the chief began to play it with these two sticks. And as he played, a wonderful sound was playing over. It was released over the tribe, and the tribe began to worship. And after that, I woke up from my dream, and I was just totally amazed by this. It was such a detailed dream, and it definitely had some, pockets of in the dream that some things I didn't understand. It was like way beyond my knowledge and way beyond what I could comprehend. So I quickly took my journal out, and I just wrote everything that I remembered, and I wrote that word, Tinananon, as best as I could spell it, and I drew pictures of the instrument, and I drew, the different materials and the dimensions and the type of strings and how it sounded, and just everything I could remember about this instrument. And I wasn't sure if it was a God dream or if it was a pizza dream. So I thought, well, let me just, do some research and seek the Lord about this. I put it before the Lord, and of course I did research, and I couldn't find anything online about the Tinananon tribe. I had tried different spellings of the word, and then I contacted some of my anthropologist friends and organizations and asked them about that name, and they never heard of that name either. So I thought, well, maybe that was just out. Maybe that's was kind of a little out in the left field. But let me research a little bit more about this instrument, and I tried to learn about this instrument and how just to see if it's even possible to make this type of sound that I heard in the dream from this instrument. And so I actually experimented in my shop at that time, some pretty basic tools, and I got the materials that I needed, and I tried to make the instrument. And truthfully, the instrument was way more difficult to make. It was way beyond the skills that I had, and so it was too difficult for me to make, and I ended up breaking things, snapping things, and just getting really frustrated with it.
Well, was that your profession, or what was your work?
Well, at that time, I was doing pretty much full-time missions work.
Oh.
And I was also doing some instrument making on the side.
Okay.
And instrument making was a passion of mine, and I was making flutes and some drums at that time, and they were pretty basic instruments. So this instrument that I saw in my dream was a lot more difficult than what I was used to. After I had sort of attempted in the shop and failed at making this instrument, I started just to sort of give up on the dream. I thought maybe it was a pizza dream. Maybe it was just just something in the left field, and sometimes that happens. But started to kind of give up on that. But it was still a big interest of mine. And I, like I said, was doing a lot of tribal missions in various countries, and one of the countries that I was ministering in was in the Philippines. And I was down in the island of Mindanao, and I was traveling on a jeepney. We had just finished a pastoral gathering where we had around 50 tribal pastors that came in to do a couple days or 2 or 3 day event, and I was speaking at that, and then we were traveling out into the tribal area to minister. And I was on a jeepney, and I was going out into the mountains, and a jeepney is like a public transportation in the Philippines. And I was on this public transportation, and there was a man sitting on the other side of me, and he kept looking at me, and he was a Filipino man, and he kept looking at me. I could tell he was looking at me, and so I just started talking to him. and I speak Tagalog, which is the national language of the Philippines.
How did you learn Tagalog?
I learned Tagalog from my wife. She's from the northern part of the Philippines, and before we got married, I was living in tribal areas, and I had learned bits and pieces of different tribal languages. And I thought when we got married, I felt like I needed to learn the national language so that I could speak to Filipinos all over the country and not have a problem.
Yeah.
So I really spent my first 2 years of marriage learning Tagalog from my wife, and she patiently taught me. It has paid off for sure, because now every time that we go back to the Philippines, I can jump right in and travel anywhere I need to go, and I can speak just like a local, and it helps.
Fantastic.
Not just help, it actually connect. You're able to connect with the people.
Yes. So you're on this jeepney, and this guy's staring at you.
Yeah, so this man was staring at me, and so I started to talk to him, and we just sort of had small talk for a few minutes. And it turns out that this man was a believer, and so I started talking to him about me as a missionary, and he was telling me about him as a pastor, and I didn't know exactly where he was from, but as we were talking, I don't know what it was, but it was obviously the Lord. The Lord spoke to me, and he said, "Caleb, ask that man about the Tinananon." And at that point, I had sort of given up on this dream, and so I was a little bit scared to just ask this man about Tinananon. I'd already done my research, and I felt like this word or this name was really just something that was from my dreams. But I really felt like the Lord said, "Ask him." So I said, "Sir, do you happen to know Tinananon?" And I just sort of asked it like that. And when I said that word, Tinananon, his eyes got really big, and he said, "Hey, how do you know my tribe? How do you know my people?" And I was just like, "What? Are you serious?" And he said, "Yes, this is my tribe, the Tinananon people." And I said, "Wow." I said, "Tell me about your tribe." And so he started telling me all about his tribe that is actually from that same island in the Philippines. They are from a real mountainous area where it's hard to reach this area. And it's also a very dangerous part of the island to go to. So he told me all about it, and I said, "Sir, I don't know where you're going today. I don't know what your plans are, but do you have a little bit of time, because I need to show you something." And so he ended up going with me and my companions to the house where I was living at that time. And we got there, and I found my journal, and I showed my journal to him. And when I showed my journal to him, it was the journal from the dream that I had the previous year.
Wow.
And I showed it to him, and he started to cry. And tears were coming down his face, and he said, "Hey, remember earlier we were on the jeepney, or on the public transportation?" He said, "I kept looking at you." And I said, "Yeah, why were you looking at me?" He said, "I was looking at you because I've seen you before, and I just could not figure out where I had seen you before. He said, but now I realize I saw you in a dream. I saw you in a dream 3 years ago. And in the dream, I was, I was doing missions work in my tribe, and I was having a lot of difficult persecution and challenges trying to bring the gospel to my tribe. But then I saw you come, and you came and helped join me in our missions work to my tribe. And that's where I saw you. And when he told me that, we were just like, wow, this is the Lord. This is certainly the leadership of the Holy Spirit. So let's just spend time together and pray together. And so this man, his name's Manigos. Manigos and I and my friends, we had prayed together for about 3 to 4 days, I believe. And it was just a wonderful time getting before the Lord and waiting on him and seeing what he wanted. And he obviously invited me to his tribe, and I wanted to really put that before the Lord. And so we prayed about it, and I talked with my wife about it. And so we decided that I was going to go, but before I went, I wanted to try one more time to get back in my shop and make this instrument. Because the Lord has showed me he's revealed something here with this dream. Maybe this instrument has something to do with it too. So I got back in my shop and I tried to make the instrument, and sure enough, after 3 months, the Lord gave my wife and I wisdom. I call it divine wisdom from heaven, and we were able to make this instrument with the little bit of tools that I had, the limited resources and the materials that I had. We were able to make it. And I remember putting the strings on for the first time and tuning it up, and I struck it with the little sticks that I made. And when I struck those strings, it was that same sound that I heard in a dream.
That is so remarkable.
Yeah, it was definitely the Lord, because I mean I have no clue. This instrument was so much over my head as an instrument maker, and to be able to play that instrument and for it to be the same sound that I heard in the dream was definitely from the Lord. It was him.
And you even remembered the sound from the dream.
Yeah.
That's pretty remarkable as well. I can't think of dreams I've had where I remember the sounds from the dream. It was amazing. The Lord is so incredible. He's just amazing. Now, was your wife expecting at this time?
Yeah, actually, my wife was 8 months pregnant at that time. When I had finished the instrument, she was 8 months pregnant, and we thought, should I go now to the tribe, or should I wait until we give birth to our first child, who was a son, our first son? And we felt like the Lord said, go now. So we did, or I did.
That is something that your wife would have, that sensitivity to the Lord's leading at such a important time in your lives.
Yeah, it really was. It was our first child, and we were actually having some complications with her pregnancy, and thankfully our child was good and safe, and
good.
It was a great delivery. But at that time there was a lot of fear that we had to face, and we had to certainly put it before the Lord, and it was not an easy decision to make.
I can imagine. That was one of the reasons you flew home, right? Her pregnancy?
Well, yeah, so after I had gone to the tribe, thankfully, we had gone to the tribe and we were able to come back before we my wife gave birth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good.
Yeah.
So tell me about your trip over there. How did that go?
Yeah, so right when I had finished the instrument, we prayed, we put it before the Lord, and the Lord said, go. So I quickly bought a plane ticket and flew to the island, and I took this instrument with me, and I asked one of my tribal companions. He's a tribal leader, and he knows the island, he knows the languages, and he has always been with me. And his name is Ansulau, and he went with me. So Ansulau met me at the main airport, and we got on a motorbike, and we traveled. And we traveled about, I think it was about 6 hours.
But
until it.
Weren't you with I thought you were with Manigos.
Yeah, well, we first traveled about 6 hours until we met Manigos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then Manigos got on the motorbike with us, and all three of us were on the motorbike. We went up into the mountain.
How do you get three guys and an instrument and whatever, your backpacks and all that?
Yeah, it's in the Philippines you can do that. I don't know. There's somehow they're able to figure out how to balance just right. And the challenge about this was the instrument, because the instrument is such a awkward shape.
Right.
And it's pretty large, so we tried to hold it on one side, and it was outweighing us. It was pulling us to that side, so we eventually just held it over our heads.
Oh my!
To keep us balanced.
Yeah.
And it worked that way. Our arms were extremely tired by the end, but
I bet
we
6 hours to get to Manigos, and then from there, how long?
From there, it took about 4 hours, 4.5 hours, something like that.
Oh my!
To get up into the mountain and to get to our destination. And the amazing thing is that when we were entering into the tribe, I looked at the people, and it was just like as if I had been there before. And it was the same people that I saw in the dream.
Really?
It was just incredible. It was like the Lord had, I knew when I was there, it was like, wow, I almost felt like I've been here before. And so we got into the tribal area, and just as we were entering in, the Lord spoke to me again, and the Lord said, Caleb, I want you to take this instrument to the chief of the tribe. And we did not know where the chief of the tribe was, so we asked Manigos, and he was not sure. So we asked some other people, and they said that it was 3.5 hours on the other side of the mountain.
Unbelievable.
So we were like, okay, let's go there. So we ended up getting back on the motorbike, and we traveled 3.5 hours, and we finally got there to his house.
Now, are there dirt roads?
Yeah, there are dirt roads. There are some roads that are more established, and some that are just basically like a walking trail.
Yeah.
It can go from a dirt road to a walking trail really quickly. And, we were thankful that we made it because we had a storm that came through, and it was very challenging to get there.
Oh, my goodness.
But we made it safely. Yeah.
How did you even navigate? I mean, are there road signs or trail markers or?
No road signs, just basically asking people that were standing on the side of the road.
Okay.
And they directed us to the right place.
Okay. And Mendigos could speak the language of it.
Yeah. My Negos could speak the language, and then also Ansulao, he spoke a real similar language, and so they were able to pretty much understand each other for the most part.
Okay.
And we finally got there to the chief's house, and I came up and knocked on the chief's door, and he answered, and it was him. It was the chief, and so I said, Datu is the word for chief. I said, Datu, we are here, or I am coming to your tribe for the first time, and it's such a joy to be here. But before we go to any other parts of your tribe, we just wanted to come and we want to honor you, and I just want to give this as a gift to you. And I had the instrument in my hand, but it was covered up. It was covered up by a cloth. So we came into his house and we put the instrument down on the table, and we took the cloth off. And when we took that cloth off, he looked at it and he said, "Where did you get that from?" And I said, "Well, I just made it." And he said, no, where did you get it from? And I was trying to sort of beat around the bush and not tell him everything. But he kept asking me, he said, "Where did you get that instrument from?" And I said, "Well, if you want me to be really truthful with you, last year I had a dream, and in the dream I actually saw this instrument. And I also saw your tribe. And I heard for the first time the name Tinananon, which is the name of your tribe. And I had seen this instrument, and I am an instrument maker. And I have never even seen this instrument before. But after the dream, I felt like my God had given me this dream, and he has made a way for me to be able to meet someone from your tribe. And then I was able to make this instrument. And so here I am today. I felt like the Lord my God has led me here to give this to you. Mm. And I just sort of kind of let it all out like that. And he was shaking his head. And at that same time, there were 2 or 3 other elders of the tribe that walked into the room. And when they came in, they saw the instrument as well, and they came up and they were plucking the strings, and they were talking among themselves, and I didn't understand what they were saying, but I did hear this one word that they kept saying, and the word was Salimba, or Sinalimba. And I kept hearing that word over and over again. And I was asking myself, what is that word, Salimba? And finally they looked at me. They all looked at me and they said, "We want to show you something." So the chief took me out of his house that we were at, and we walked down this path. Not very far down, there was a little house on the right, and he took me inside there. And I immediately noticed that this was a house of prayer. And in their tribe, they have a house of prayer. It's called a paluvaran. and it is the place where they pray to the different gods of their tribe, or the different angels, and they pray to God, which is the master God. And this was also sort of a place where all of the ancient articles of their tribe was kept. So it was kind of like the Holy of Holies of their tribe. It was the most sacred spot of their tribe. And they took me inside there, and I could see all different types of things from their tribe, like metalwork and some clay vessels and weaving, where they had made mats and things like that. And they also had one section where they had musical instruments there. And the chief began to tell me that there's an instrument that worships the different gods. So there's like one instrument that worships the god of the tree or the angel of the tree. Then there's another instrument that worships the angel of the river. And he said that many years ago, he said over a century ago, so over 100 years ago, there was a musical instrument that they had, and this instrument was the instrument that worshipped the God of all gods. And this instrument was taken away from them. It was during a tribal war, and the instrument was taken away from them. And at that time, they lamented, and they cried out to God, and they said, our instrument of worship has been taken away from us. And then during the time of their lamentation, there was a song that they wrote that said something like this. It said, the instrument was taken away from us, but one day it's going to be restored or redeemed back to them. And when that instrument is redeemed back to them, that is going to be the sign that God is coming back again. Because
Wow.
God's going to come down from heaven, and he's going to call all the righteous people to him. And he looked at me and he said, Caleb, today you brought that instrument to us, and it's called the salemba. The salemba. It's called the salemba. It's an instrument of worship, the instrument that we use to worship the God of all gods. And I was totally speechless, and I just sort of stood there. I was like, wow, okay. And he immediately gathered a lot of the tribal elders that were in the area, and they came, and we just got together, and he dedicated the instrument back to God.
Wow.
And he prayed to God, the God of all gods, and we worshiped together, and I could actually feel the manifest presence of God in the room, and it was incredible. I was like, wow, this is the Lord right here in this room, and during that time, they also asked me to stand up, and they brought a headpiece of a chief to me, and they said, we honor you right now with the honor of being a chief of our tribe. We give you the honor of being a chief. And so they gave the headpiece of a chief to me, and they said, now we consider you as a datu as well of our tribe. And I was just absolutely humbled. I didn't know what to say, truthfully, because moments like that are just so, when it was just so humbling. And honoring, but at the same time, it's like, wow, like the Lord just gave me this position, not just for the fun of it, but there's a depth to this and a responsibility. And so I took it humbly and still am walking that out. And it's been amazing since then, because what's happened through that is that there's been a relationship that is established between me and the chiefs there, as well as the whole tribe. And I'm telling you, it's just been such an amazing open door for the gospel to come into this people group.
Well, it's so dramatic.
Yeah, it really is dramatic. Yeah, it's incredible. One morning we were having breakfast with the chief, and I felt like I needed to ask the chief a question. And I felt like this was from the Lord. And I said, Datu, I said, how can I help you? How can we, my family or my people, how can we sincerely help you? And I knew that there was going to be risk to that question, because, a lot of people, you ask that to anyone, and, definitely to us, because we're from a first world country, and, there's risk there, He could have asked for anything, but he sincerely took that question, and he sat there for, I'm guessing, about 30 minutes to an hour. Just kind of, he didn't respond right away. But after a while, he replied and said, Caleb, if you can help me with one thing, I want you to help us with this. I want you to help us translate the Bible into our language. And I was totally taken back by that. Like, I was amazed, because, like I said, he could have asked for anything, and that's what he asked for. And I said, yeah, okay, I will do my best to walk this out with you, to see the Bible translated into your language.
Tell me how God has moved in that tribal group.
Well, it started with the Bible translation, and thank the Lord we were able to get a Bible translation project started in 2015, and that has been ongoing. And before we could just start translating the Bible, it was not that easy. You got to start from language development. I mean, just from ground zero, basically, from forming a language, written language, forming an alphabet and a grammar structure, and teaching the people how to write their language out. So that's been sort of the groundwork that we've been working on so far. And we were able to translate some Bible comics in their language, so that's helped a whole lot. And the amazing thing is that since we were able to have this open door to bring the gospel in, Pastor Manigos and some of his companions have just been able to take it and run with it. And it has been absolutely incredible to see the gospel spread and grow. They've been able to take the gospel into the really, really unreached areas of the tribe. And a lot of people have come to know Jesus. I know that there have been hundreds of people. It could be in the thousands now.
Wow. Praise God.
And this is within the past 4 years, where especially the past year, there's been such an expansion of the gospel.
Thank you for listening to the God Reports podcast. Head to godreports.com to read more exciting articles on what God is doing around the world.